The moment I stepped into the courtroom in full uniform, I heard my father laugh under his breath, and my mother let out a tired sigh, but then the judge looked up, froze for a second, and whispered my name as if he had seen a ghost. That was the moment I understood that this day would not end the way they expected. I walked slowly down the aisle, my shoes echoing against the polished floor, my medals catching the light, my back straight even though my chest felt tight. I had imagined this day many times, but I never imagined it would hurt this much. The courtroom was full. Reporters sat in the back. My father stood near his lawyer, confident, well-dressed, powerful as always. He owned half the construction companies in the region. He had friends in politics. He had influence. He had never lost a case. And today, he believed, would be no different. The case was simple on paper. He was suing me, his own daughter. He claimed I had defamed his company by reporting corruption inside one of his government contracts. He said I had damaged his reputation. He said I was unstable. He said the military had changed me. When I first filed the report months ago, I did not expect it to lead here. I only did what I believed was right. I had discovered documents that showed unsafe materials were used in housing built for veterans. Buildings meant for families like mine. Families who trusted his name. When I confronted him privately, he told me to stay quiet. He said I did not understand how the world worked. He said loyalty to family mattered more than rules. I stayed quiet at first. Not because I agreed, but because I was his daughter. Because somewhere inside, I still hoped he would fix it himself. But he did not. And when the first building developed cracks, when a young soldier's wife and child were injured after a ceiling collapsed, something inside me broke. I filed the report through official channels. I signed my name. I wore my uniform that day too. My father called me a traitor. He used his influence to open an investigation against me instead. Suddenly, I was the one accused of misconduct. Suddenly, my record was questioned. My superiors stood by me quietly, but publicly they could not interfere. So I stood alone. As I took my seat in the courtroom, I could feel the weight of every eye. Some saw a disciplined officer. Others saw a daughter who betrayed her own father. My mother avoided my gaze. She had always chosen silence over conflict. Sadness filled me, not because I doubted myself, but because I never wanted to fight my own blood. The judge cleared his throat and began the session. My father's lawyer spoke first. His voice was smooth and practiced. He painted me as emotional, as reckless, as someone who misunderstood business complexities. He suggested I had personal resentment against my father. He smiled politely while questioning my stability. My father watched calmly, almost amused. When it was my turn to speak, I stood slowly. I did not raise my voice. I did not look at my father. I addressed the court. I described the documents I had found. I described the safety violations. I described the injured family. I spoke clearly, simply. No drama. Just facts. Still, I could feel the room leaning away from me. Power has gravity. It pulls people toward it. During a short recess, I heard whispers behind me. Some journalists questioned whether I was brave or foolish. I sat alone, hands folded in my lap. Helplessness tried to creep in. For a moment, I felt small again, like the little girl who waited for her father to come home from long meetings, proud of him, believing he built homes for others. But then I remembered the injured child. I remembered signing my oath. And I stayed seated, breathing slowly, choosing patience over anger. The trial continued for weeks. Each hearing felt like walking through fire without showing the burn. My father's legal team delayed proceedings, filed motions, challenged evidence. They questioned how I had obtained internal documents. They implied I had stolen them. They suggested disciplinary action against me. Outside the courthouse, cameras waited. Headlines called it a family war. Some commentators said I was seeking attention. Others said I was trying to destroy a powerful man's legacy. My father never spoke directly to me. He passed by me in hallways as if I were invisible. That hurt more than the accusations. At home, my mother called once. Her voice was soft, almost pleading. She asked me to settle. She said families should not destroy themselves in public. I listened quietly. I told her I never wanted this fight. But I could not close my eyes. After that call, I sat in my apartment for a long time, staring at my uniform hanging near the door. It represented discipline, service, sacrifice. It also represented isolation. I had chosen duty. And duty can be lonely. Still, something small inside me refused to give up. Quiet hope. Not loud optimism. Just a steady belief that truth has weight, even when power tries to bury it. My legal counsel was not as famous as my father's team, but he was honest. He encouraged patience. He believed in evidence. We gathered testimonies from engineers who had resigned quietly months before. We found emails discussing cost-cutting measures. We requested independent inspections of the buildings in question. My father remained confident. He attended charity events during the trial. He donated to public causes. He reinforced his image as a respected businessman. He believed reputation would protect him. In the courtroom, the judge listened carefully. He asked precise questions. He reviewed documents personally. There were moments when his eyes lingered on me longer than expected, as if trying to remember something. I did not understand why. I focused only on staying calm. Patience became my shield. Each time my father's lawyer tried to provoke me, I answered simply. Each time reporters tried to capture emotion, I gave none. I was not there to win sympathy. I was there to tell the truth. The turning point came quietly. An independent structural expert presented findings in court. The materials used in several housing projects were indeed below safety standards. The cost reductions had increased profit margins significantly. Emails were read aloud that referenced acceptable risk and minimal visibility. The courtroom grew silent. My father's confident posture stiffened. His lawyer objected repeatedly, but the evidence had entered the record. I watched my father for the first time that day. He looked smaller. Not physically, but in certainty. Still, he believed influence could fix this. He requested private discussions. He hinted at settlements. I refused. This was never about money for me. It was about accountability. Outside, public opinion began to shift. Media coverage turned serious. Families living in the affected housing spoke out. Former employees shared their experiences anonymously. What started as a personal lawsuit became a broader investigation. Through all this, I remained quiet. I did not celebrate small victories. I did not attack my father publicly. I simply waited. Patience. That word carried me through every restless night. My military superiors continued to monitor the case. They reminded me to stay composed. They reminded me that integrity is tested in discomfort. I held on to that. The final hearing arrived on a cold morning. The courtroom was fuller than ever. My father stood straight, but there was tension in his jaw. My mother sat behind him, hands tightly clasped. I walked in wearing my full uniform again. When the judge entered, the room rose. He began reading the summary of findings. His voice was steady. He detailed the contractual violations. He described the failure to meet safety standards. He spoke about responsibility to veterans and their families. Then he paused. He looked directly at me. And in a voice barely above a whisper, he said my name. I felt the room hold its breath. Years ago, he continued, your grandfather stood in this same courtroom defending workers who had no voice. I knew him well. My heart stopped for a second. I had never met my grandfather. He died before I was born. But I knew stories. The judge's eyes softened. Integrity runs in your family, he said quietly. The ruling followed. The court dismissed the defamation claim against me. It ordered a full investigation into my father's company. It mandated compensation for affected families. Gasps filled the room. My father did not look at me. For the first time, he seemed unsure. Justice did not arrive with shouting. It arrived with calm clarity. Outside, reporters waited for my reaction. I said only one sentence. I did my duty. That evening, I stood alone on my balcony, uniform folded carefully beside me. Sadness still lived in my heart. He was still my father. But helplessness was gone. Hope had grown through patience. And justice, unexpected and quiet, had finally spoken my name.